telescope is an extension of its owner that allows us to peer into the universe to see nature on the grandest scale, with wonders that boggle the imagination. This is Galaxy Log for March 2023 with a subtitle of New Kid in Town. I had two nights in March, and two very good nights. The first night was March 15th, and the first galaxy was NGC 2639 in Ursa Major. Here's where the galaxy is located. It's a closer up chart from the Stellarium web of where it's found. It's pretty easy to star hop to. And here's the near view image. Here's the particulars. It's a fairly bright galaxy. It's 11.6 high surface brightness. It's small, it's type, and its distance. Also, here's the image of the galaxy. The telescope was the 8.2-inch f3.9 Dob. It's a 5mm eyepiece, so higher magnification, but it is small. Give me 162 magnification. The sky conditions are very good transparency, excellent transparency. The galaxy, even at 162 magnification, is still small. Flies in a nice star field. Has an elongated disk to it with a nice central kind of bulge and a faint stellar nucleus. It stood out pretty well. Not a whole lot of detail, but you know, it's a fairly bright galaxy, fairly easy to see, even in small telescopes. So it's I don't know. I don't think, you know, much larger telescopes will show too much more than what you see here. But you know, other than just being brighter, maybe the nucleus will stand out a little more. But it's a nice galaxy. It's a fairly easy galaxy to find, and yeah, as I said, it's fairly bright, very high surface brightness. Next is NGC 3147 in Draco. Also fairly easy to find, and you know, it's not too far away from M81 and M82 in Ursa Major. Here's a closer view of where NGC 3147 is located. And here's the near view image. It's a bright galaxy at 10.6, decent surface brightness, a bit larger than the previous galaxy. It's you know, almost perfectly round from our point of view. There's its type, its distance. There's an actual Hubble image here of the galaxy. Here with the telescope, I used a 7mm eyepiece, which gave me 116 magnification. The galaxy looked really nice. This was a nice view. I was really pleased with this view. You had a nice round disk, a little bit of a central bulge to it, and a faint stellar nucleus, and a bit of modeling to it. It was you could actually see that the galaxy was definitely has some patchiness to it, some modeling, as they say. But it was actually it was a surprising view that how well it stood out with the this mid-sized telescope. My second night was March 20th, 2023, and this night was actually from a darker site than the first night on the 15th, and I had two telescopes on this night. First galaxy is NGC 2715 in Camelopardalis. This is where the galaxy is located. Constellation has some great galaxies in it. It really does, including this one. But it is one of those constellations that doesn't have any bright stars, so it's kind of hard to navigate if you're star hopping through it. But I tend to use when I'm going through this area of the sky, uh, you can use Polaris and see the orientation of Ursa Minor or and how it is to Ursa Major, and kind of get in that area of the sky to help, like I said, navigate to the galaxies. Here's a closer up view from Stellarium Web of where the galaxy is located. And here's my near view image. Here's the particulars. It's fairly bright magnitude, 11.2, a little bit low surface brightness, fairly good size. Here's its type and its distance. The scope is the 12-inch f4 Dob, and I was using an 8mm eyepiece, gave me 150 magnification. And sky conditions this night were excellent. There was no wind, dry, very good transparency, and really good seeing. So it was one of those kind of nights that you really look forward to observing. So here is the near view image. If you compare it to what you see in the photograph, it's not, it does extend well. And what I was seeing was the northern area of the galaxy had this big fan or broad area, and then the lower part of the galaxy kind of like tapered a little bit. And you kind of see that in the image here, where it tapers a little bit where the spiral arm was. It may not be easy to pick up right here in this near view image, but I was seeing that. You had a very broad, mottled, not real bright central region and a faint stellar nucleus. But yeah, it was a really good view. Anxious to actually, maybe in even a darker site with the same scope, or waiting for my new 20-inch f3.5 to come in and to view this galaxy, and maybe do another galaxy log with that. But yeah, it's a nice galaxy to view. It's harder. It's definitely harder to pick up in a smaller telescope under brighter skies. Dark skies are pretty much required for this galaxy. But yeah, it's a nice galaxy to go for. Next is NGC 3065 and its partner NGC 3066 in Ursa Major. Here where these galaxies are located, fairly easy to find. Here's a closer up view in Stellarium Web of where they're located. It was an easy star hop. And here's a near view image. 3065 is 12.5 magnitude. The surface brightness is 13.3. They're both small. Type, distance. 3066 is a little fainter, a little bit higher surface brightness, and they're very close in size. And in distance also, it's a little farther out. Here's a survey image of both galaxies. And for the near view, with the 12-inch f4, I used a 3.5mm eyepiece, so it's pretty high magnification here at 343. And here's the near view image itself. 3065 was very round, had a little bit brighter core area and a stellar nucleus. Its partner, here 3066, more elongated, a bit smaller, and also had a faint stellar nucleus. A little bit of brightening towards the center. But yeah, there's a nice pair of galaxies to view. Probably a little more difficult in a smaller telescope, particularly under brighter skies. But yeah, it was a nice pair. I happened to be in the area, so I figured, oh, let's go for these galaxies, and I'm glad I did. Next is NGC 3107 Leo. Real easy to find. Not too far from the brightest star in Leo Regulus. Here's a closer up view. Down here is where Regulus is. That's where that glow is coming from. And it points to kind of like a triangle. So you go northwest, you see these two stars here, then another star here, and it's kind of like a triangle. Um, and it's right nearby. It's like 7.5 magnitude star or so. And here's the near view image. Galaxies definitely it's a lot dimmer than the other galaxies we've been observing at 13.4, fairly high surface brightness. It's small, hence I had to use high magnification here. It's just type and its distance. And you can see from the survey image, the star definitely had some color to it. I could see some color to it. Has this orangish glow to it. And here's the galaxy. It's kind of a fainter version of Merox Ghost in the Fall constellation and Andromeda. Here's with the 12-inch f4 Dob. It was also with 3.5 eyepiece, high magnification, but it's a small galaxy, so it was needed. Galaxy showed an oval disk and a nice little stellar nucleus. But yeah, it definitely gave you that kind of like a much dimmer version of Merox Ghost. So I thought it was interesting. I tried to actually see if I could see this galaxy from that previous night on March 15th with the 8.2 inch Dob at a brighter, not quite as dark as location as when I was viewing here. And I thought I could see it with averted vision. It was kind of popping in and out a little bit. So it definitely requires darker skies, even if you're using a mid-sized telescope. But it's a good challenge for, say an 8-inch Dob on from a dark site. But the 12-inch brought it out pretty well here. I was able to also view it with a friend's 20-inch nearby, and definitely really gave that a nice view of the galaxy and the star. A little more intensive color also with the 20-inch of the star. Now I sent a new kid in town, and it's the new 4-inch refractor. So I have some views here of some previous galaxies I've viewed before, and this was a good test for it, I thought. It was NGC 3226 and 3227, which is ARP 94. With the near view image, it's a 4-inch f7 refractor. It's an ED refractor. The eyepiece was an 8mm eyepiece, gave me 89 magnification. It was really, I was surprised how good this stood out. I actually tried this I had the refractor at the same dark site that I used the 8.2 for this galaxy log. Actually, it was the night before. It was kind of like a test and I viewed it through there, and you could see the galaxies no problem like that. But here at a darker site, under darker skies, it was a really nice view where you could see both galaxies, and 3227 has a little bit more of a elongated. It's a spiral galaxy that's a little more elongated. Showed a nice stellar nucleus to it. And then 3226, smaller, roundish, and another stellar nucleus, and a really beautiful star field. It was really a nice view. I was actually surprised for a 4-inch telescope how well the galaxy stood out and how pretty the overall field was. And you could actually see that there was an interacting pair. That was pretty neat. Okay. The next thing I did was, it was fun time to do a Virgo tour. And So I just inserted a 12.5 millimeter eyepiece, which gave me 57 magnification, and just went around this area of the sky, which you can't miss galaxies here. And I was really surprised. I mean, how many galaxies were popping out and really looking really good. I was basically all over. Spent maybe about 15 minutes or so, maybe 15, 20 minutes just going through uh, this area of the sky. And the Orange Refractor really did a great job with it. Seen a lot of galaxies, and they weren't just like real faint little things like that. They actually stood out really well, and really enjoyed doing this with this new telescope. Then I ended the night per request from fellow observer of looking at NGC 4565. So here's the near view image. It's again with the 12.5 millimeter eyepiece, and gave a really nice view of this, my favorite galaxy, just a striking edge on and a beautiful field of stars. Uh, you could actually, no problem seeing the central bulge, and then it really extended really, really well from northwest to southeast. And yeah, I was a good way to end a really, really good night. Okay, this is a summary of this galaxy log. For the March 15th night, I was at my closest dark site, which is about a 30-minute drive north of me. It's got good elevation. It's 1,350-foot elevation. Here is a Google Earth at night for the dark site. It's rated as a border 4. This particular night was just, as I mentioned in the near view images of Galaxy Log, that was excellent transparency. Scene was pretty good. It was nice and dry. It was really a good night to observe. On the second night, on the 20th, went to a darker site, a little over an hour away to the northwest where I live, and higher elevation, 1,750 feet. Here's a Google Earth at night. Um, I rate it as a Bortle 3.75. For most, it's a really good Bortle 4, a high-end Bortle 4. This night, we had really good transparency and really steady seeing. The seeing conditions were just really, really good. You could even, high power and the star images and really looked good. There was no wind, which there could be wind issues up there at times, but no, it was just one of those kind of nights that you just beckon for galaxies, to view galaxies. As far as the telescopes, for that first night, it was the Bresser 8.2-inch f3.9 tube assembly that turned into a Dob. Really like this scope. Nice and compact, easy to transport, easy to set up, has really good optics, and just a really good mid-sized telescope. For eyepieces for that night, for NGC 2639 was the Celestron XL LX 5 millimeter. For NGC 3147 was the Celestron XL LX 7 millimeter. For the second night, with the 12-inch was a Orion Optics UK 12-inch f4. And I've mentioned this, of course, in previous Galaxy Logs. This has become one of my favorite telescopes that I've ever owned, and I've owned a lot over the last 55 years. This one just has just beautiful optics, just very high contrast images from this telescope. I seem to be able to push the magnification, and images do not break down. Just really, really good telescope. And like you can see here in this image, and I mentioned this before also, it's neat that you can sit down and use an observing chair and comfortably observe with this telescope. And then for the new 4-inch refractor is a Astrotech 4-inch f7 ED, and I have it on the Explore Scientific Twilight 1 mount, and they match really well. This image here was actually taken right out in my front yard. It was actually the day that it arrived. I was able to test it. It wasn't a really good night. It was some high clouds and stuff like that, but I was able to actually see how good the optics were before I was able to take it to a dark site. And here I'm actually observing. My wife took the photograph, of course, and I'm actually observing M81, M82, and I had a pretty good view. Even though, like I just said, the sky conditions weren't really good, and but the galaxies looked really good, and star images were really nice. This is a really nice buy in astronomy. If you're looking for a compact 4-inch refractor with really good optics, this is one to think about. I'm really impressed with it. I was when we were up at the dark side with the 12-inch that night, and looking at NGC 3226 and 3227, and then doing a Virgo tour, and then ending with 4565. But other galaxies that I was looking at earlier in the night, like 2903, the Leo Trio, M81, M82, look spectacular from the darker site. This telescope really performed well. I was really pleased. I think this is going to be my permanent 4-inch refractor. As far as eyepieces, for NGC 2715 and the view through the refractor of NGC 3226 and 3227 is a favorite eyepiece, is the TeleVue 8mm Delos. For NGC 3065 and 3066 and NGC 3107 is the APM 3.5mm XWA. Really good eyepieces. If you're looking for the 100-degree field plus, this is 110. These are really good buy in astronomy. They really are. I'm very impressed with these. I have the 7mm, the 5mm, and 3.5mm. And for the Virgo tour with the 4-inch refractor and NGC 4565 was the Matter Morpheus 12.5mm. Excellent eyepieces. Really nice big field of view. Really good eye relief. Excellent eye relief, actually. Razor sharp. Really good contrast. I'm very impressed by this eyepiece, and I have the 6.5mm also. So here was the image taken that night of the Orion Optics UK 12-inch f4 and the AT 4-inch f7 ED refractor. Just it was a stellar night, and I really, really enjoyed it. Two really good telescopes on a really nice dark site under really good skies. Just really enjoyed the night. It was a little cold, but it was good. So that's it for this month's Galaxy Log. Clear dark skies and happy galaxy observing.